ladies and gentlemen, I am Vital, and since quite a few of you had asked me to test the new for 2025 Yamaha Tenere 700 after its refresh and update, I went and tried this new one. Some time ago I rode the previous generation, so as I'm about to make a big all mid-size adventure motorcycles comparison video here, I agree that it makes sense to work with the newer model. But really, is it in fact noticeably different? When riding, maybe a bit, but overall there is one update in this bike that matters, and it's the presence of traction control now. Wow, awesome news! I mean, really, not having this feature is a huge safety hazard in comparison with all other motorcycles in this segment, and I'm glad that Yamaha realized that and improved the 700 in this aspect. So now you're really much safer on the road, and I'm double happy as during my time with the Tenere, it was slightly raining. So having this system made me feel much more secure. It was just basically damp in the end. But yeah, now what are even those updates to the Tenere, as it looks pretty much the same as the one before? There's a slightly different front light, still LED, there's different seat, fuel tank is moved a bit forward, wider foot pegs they say, electronic throttle, different side stand mount, but you won't really notice these. Maybe the front light? What you may notice is new in this model traction control, 2 riding modes that are entirely new, new display, and perhaps the full adjustment of the front suspension. Does it make a real difference? Hell yes! As again, traction control may save your life may save your life as well. If I had the previous Tenere 700, I liked it, then would I upgrade to the new one? Definitely yes, as I know firsthand, believe me, about traction control's impact. Well, I could even probably show you. On a side note, when trying to accelerate with full power in the first gear, it was always now choke at some point and limit the power. I'm not sure why, but it's a rule in this bike. Unnecessary, shouldn't be there, and some calibration of traction control could be done to improve that. Alright then. So having ridden all mid-size and all large adventure motorcycles, how do I see the new Tenere 700? Let's dig into that. So at a first glance, it looks tall. And it feels even taller when you sit on it, and it's 87.5 centimeters seat. I'm 1 meter 83 centimeters tall, or 6 feet tall, and it's worth it as the design is really cool. I mean, really, people look at it, the bike looks quite intimidating. It's got that powerful 4 LED front light, and yeah, it looks like a true rally bike. However, later, after around 1 hour of riding in different conditions, including city traffic where you need to support yourself with your leg, from time to time at least, your inner legs and butt may start having a bit of trouble and hurting. This is what it's like for me, as the seat is rather hard, it's narrow, and this mix, located high from the ground, is not a perfect combination. I cannot flat-foot the bike, and on top of that, the new, wider foot pegs are located in spots where it would otherwise be the most natural for me to drop my legs down and support myself. Can't do that here, and I've got to spread my legs either wider and touch the ground with mostly my toes only, or to move them forward. To me, that's an issue. Other than this, the knee angle is comfortable for me, the handlebar is wide, but too low for me to feel comfortable, and too far forward to have a completely relaxing position. I've got to lean forward even more when doing tight turns because of that, so I would prefer to change that. On top of that, there are handlebars that stick a lot to the sides, and I don't really get the reasons for that. There are full 3 fingers of additional width that make riding between any obstacles, like cars for example in city traffic, significantly more difficult. I really had trouble thinking about the filtering on this Tenere 700. At first I was thinking, what the hell, it wasn't like this on the previous Tenere 700, and then I checked, and it seems I was right. These new handguards with their mounts make them so much wider. What an idea. Definitely not great for city riding, but you may easily go and get yourself some aftermarket ones and fix that. And yes, I know who rides Tenere 700 in the city. Well, I would say probably more than 50% of riders. I see that bike along with the Africa Twin NGSs quite often, in the city. At least that's what's happening in my country. Maybe, well, whatever. Just talking about my experiences. One thing that you don't need to think about fixing now is the fuel cap, which has quietly become a regular one instead of the one on the previous generation that you had to remove fully and hold in your hand, put in your mouth, or put somewhere before refueling. And that I was complaining about in my honest review of the previous Tenere 700. Good change along with the traction control addition. Keep going, Yamaha. That's a good direction. So how does it ride? In terms of suspension, I feel it's quite competent. There are some changes like more adjustment, but overall it feels solid. Not too stiff and not too soft now, which is a different opinion to how I felt about the previous generation. This one is not bad and not too jumpy. I'm fine with it, while there is nothing really standing out and it appears to be a very neutral setup now. Somewhere in the middle, which may satisfy the largest number of riders in the end, and it makes sense. It handles both simple and groups of potholes well, so I guess I can recommend it in this area. The front wheel has a 21-inch rim, while in the rear there is an 18-inch rim, and under me and behind is an electric office chair from Power Seats that you may adjust with switches as well. All these things are electrically adjustable. If those kinds of ergonomic items interest you as much as they do interest me, check them out at powerseats.eu. Cool stuff, including chairs from a Rolls-Royce, one of the new Phantoms. Now, when it comes to handling of Tenere 700, well, initially I was concerned about what to tell you guys, but now I know this bike handles good, and it handles bad. Don't worry, as it will make sense once you understand it, obviously. It makes sense. If you understand it, you understand. If you don't understand it, you don't understand. That's clear. Starting off slow. At low speeds, turning on this new Tenere 700 is really good. It's light, it's quick, and it's generally easy to manage. Really quite easy. It's happy to do so, and it complies. Very good score from me, up until when it becomes bad. Over around 70 or 80 kilometers per hour, so when the speeds raise rather significantly, it becomes much less colorful, as that eagerness to turn and quick reactions pretty much disappear. Of course, when the speeds get higher, it generally is so in motorcycles, but most bikes remain more acceptable when it comes to how big the difference is. Here it becomes a significant fight with the bike, and the time to straighten it up from a lean is long. Then leaning again is a huge challenge that takes a lot of effort and time. Hence the difference in perception of how well it handles. It's like pulling a large truck using a rope in your hands. You feel that eventually something starts happening, but it takes those muscles a lot of strain and for a long time to make that truck move even 1 millimeter. And then it doesn't become so much easier once it starts sort of rolling. You still have to fight it very much. This is exactly what I mean here, and some other bikes do better in this aspect. When in a lean, it's stable, thankfully, and using brakes does not kick it out of balance. It's also very neutral when riding at crawling speeds, and this is useful in the city when off-roading and riding with a passenger. It's precise at low speeds, and I enjoy that control. So you see, it will matter where you'll be riding the most and what your priority will be. Generally, I would not recommend it for riding 2-up because of the powertrain that we've got here. It is a 2-cylinder, 689 cubic centimeter engine with 73 and a bit horsepower and 68 newton-meters of torque, propelling the rear wheel via a standard chain. What in the world would you expect from those numbers? It accelerates, but depending on a riding mode, it's either acceleration or weak acceleration. In the sport mode, it reacts to throttle in a strong manner and feels under control. In explore mode, it doesn't feel particularly willing to move quicker and quicker. So for riding at higher speeds, sport mode is a must, but somehow when riding slower or with steady speeds, it gets shaky as freaking hell. This applies especially to the second and third gear. Gently releasing and adding throttle makes the bike feel as if it was going to swap. Not smooth at all. Switching to the Explore mode adds some butter to this mix, and riding steady becomes more comfortable throttle relation-wise. It's better, but the first time I switched to it, I almost stalled the bike setting off from a standstill. It becomes so weak. In the end, it lacks a sweet spot of combining the two, for example, in some custom mode or just fine mode. Fine mode would be the explore mode at lower RPM to be able to cruise gently and do all the maneuvers comfortably, even having to add more throttle. While at higher RPM, I would expect all the juice to be there, but you may only choose one of two at a time, obviously. And you cannot just press the mode button to switch quickly. No, this would be too easy for Yamaha. You've got to press it with your right hand and then select the other mode using a joystick with your left hand. And by the way, the arrows up and down are associated with a given mode. So it won't work sort of in a circle where having two modes and then going either up or down with an arrow would easily change to that other mode. No, god damn it. But really, why can't we just switch the modes pressing one bloody button that's already there and is dedicated? That's ridiculous. Heat management is acceptable, as even though the engine will get hot after a moment of not moving, but the fans will prevent it from exploding. The heat won't be unbearable, but you will feel it on your lower legs and feet likely. The transmission is precise enough, but not very light when it comes to moving the lever up and down. The gears are really short, but it doesn't help in terms of flexibility nor some huge performance gains. It's just annoying, I would say. The new display looks very good and it's clear, it's bright, with good graphics and just they're just clean. I like them. There aren't many options to choose from and only two themes that differ a lot. One conventional with a round rev counter, and the other one like in new BMW and Volvo cars where you've got graphs, charts and mathematical functions expressed in a graphic form to show you your RPM and other stuff. Yep, the first one is better. Navigation is simple with the joystick. Speaking of navigating things, there is a very special new invention in this Yamaha Tenere 700, and I see Yamaha's engineers like playing with us with surprises. They invented an entirely new indicator switch which resembles a ship on waves. It's no traditional switch, but rather a button consisting of two parts that move together. You either press left one to kind of flip the right one, but you cannot switch this shit off by pressing it down in the middle like in all other normal motorcycles. Here you play with pushing gently and then the indicator blinks 4 times and it goes off, or you press a bit harder and it stays on forever. Then only if you press the same part of the switch once again, you may switch the bloody thing off. So you cannot really work with that without looking at the bloody display each time. Because first of all, in motorcycle gloves, you won't know if you pressed it gently and it will switch off on its own in 4 clicks, or less gently and it will stay there forever or not. Then if you actually press it the way you want, you also will not be sure what happens, as you may not remember in a moment what the last status was. So in the end, here you also are discouraged to use indicators at all, as it becomes simply too dangerous with you looking at the display. If you quickly change lanes left and right between the cars, at some point you may be like, okay, which one did I use last time? In order to switch it off, you first have to see if it's actually on or not, or the last press was the same press that you did before and it actually got switched off, or you pressed not strong enough and it switched itself off on its own anyway. This is, what the hell, Yamaha, you bloody anti-engineer. Of course, one of the first things that happened to me also was randomly honking, as this thing is located right above the horn and it looks very similarly. The brakes are fine in terms of strength and even the rear brake does something. There's ABS, so we are all safe here as well. But the front brake is hard to dose initially, as a quick pull of the lever makes the whole system nervously engage and cause the front suspension to dive a lot. It's generally not bad with preventing the bike to dive, but this particular reaction is there and it annoys me. Same as in Triumph Tiger 1200, just it's even worse there due to softer front suspension. So it could be better, but it works when you need it. But it will stress you even more. It may be further enhanced by the fact that the lever is located super high in relation to the right foot peg, and in order to use it, I myself have to lift off my whole foot from the foot peg, which obviously is not the right way for me. Not sure how it helps riding when standing on the pegs, as with my height I would have to bend and lean forward significantly to reach the handlebar, or bend my legs in an impassable way, very uncomfortable at least, might be possible. Not sure this was the direction. Wind protection, you ask? Well, I'll answer with this sound. It is buffeting, if you haven't realized. The windshield somehow is there, but in reality it's not there, as it doesn't do anything. It's not adjustable, so with my height all you get is wind in your face that's not a smooth stream but a pack of turbulences. They're not terrible, but the effect is, in my opinion, worse than if there was no windscreen at all. After opening my helmet's visor by 1 centimeter to create a gap, the stream of wind with turbulences would close it for me automatically. Very convenient. It's just I'm opening it because I want it open, not because I want the windstream to close it. Very weird. So like with the seat, you won't adapt the bike but would have to put aftermarket parts on it. I feel replacing mirrors would also make sense, as the right one would kind of fold a bit at around 130-140 kilometers, when I generally cannot see a thing in them due to how low they are located and due to how slim they are at their ends, where a lot of things is happening that now you will never see. The bike carries 16 liters of fuel, up to 16 liters of fuel. It weighs 208 kilograms with fluids, and I feel that it sounds worse in terms of exhaust sound than the version before the facelift. When you rev it in sport mode, it's not bad, but then riding, the higher the RPM, the less is going on and the more screaming you hear, kind of. So the less of natural nice growl is there. Same in the other mode, but then it doesn't have that initial sound spark. It's not even there when you just rev it. I believe it's because it now complies with Euro 5 emission standards, which kills all the fun for everyone and everywhere. In terms of technology, what I haven't mentioned yet is that there may be heated grips, there may be a quick shifter, while this particular bike doesn't have it for some reason. There's no cruise control, there's no keyless access or fuel cap, there's no other riding modes than the two simple ones, no heated seats I believe, and of course no electric adjustment of suspension. I mentioned some unavailable items because some competitors do have them on board. What they don't, but Tenere 700 has in this new version, is a sticking out piece of trim that would grab and hold a part of my trousers in place whenever I would move my left leg. Some weird design that's incompatible with my trousers for some reason. It never happened on any other bike. And yes, I haven't ridden properly off the road because I just don't do that with those big, still heavy adventure motorcycles. It is fine on gravel roads for me to ride, and they will all do that okay. I used to ride off-road when I was a kid. Later I did that with the BMW R1200 GS and my good old Suzuki V-Strom 1000, but it wasn't fun at all. You may even see me go down on the V-Strom and lift it up from the sand. Go watch it to realize that it's doable until it's not doable. It's fun until it's not that much fun, and then it's trouble. And to really compare these and see the differences, we would have to push them to their limits, which I cannot even do, as I'm not trained professionally in riding big adventure bikes off-road. Today I am a street rider and I evaluate bikes in the most demanding conditions I can find, so this fairly light Yamaha Tenere 700 in its new form is, in my opinion, different, noticeably compared to the previous version. So you guys were right to encourage me to test it. I enjoy its lightness, nice sound when revving, its look, suspension and low speed handling. I don't like the weak engine sound when riding at higher RPM, lack of wind protection, and not compliant handling at higher speeds. I also hate the indicator switch and the clutch lever, which is long enough, but it's so far away with no adjustment that I cannot comfortably use it despite not having small hands. I cannot even define who this may be for. But is it lame? I don't think so, since it's so much I don't give a shit personality, this bike, that I may only find a reason good enough to buy it if I would be the Yamaha fan and just wanted a Tenere, or because of its looks, which is not bad. That's not bad of a reason. It's also cheaper than some top bikes from the midsize adventure segment, but not that much cheaper than some others like Suzuki or Honda, for example. It isn't lame, but to me it's a rather not much developed bike and kind of like an old Land Rover Defender. It does everything bad, that car, but some still very much like it for the style. The same applies to this Tenere 700 that is at least safer now from 2025. Now stay tuned, guys, let me know what you think about my perception of the Tenere, and let's see what the future brings, because there are some head-to-head comparisons coming. See you there.